was the king of saxophones. Yes, indeed he was.
I hear music, mighty fine music, the murmur of the morning breeze out there, the rattle of the milkman on the stair. Sure, that's music, mighty fine music, the singing of the sparrows in the sky, the perking of the coffee right nearby. There's my favorite melody, you my angel, phone me bop, squiddy bop. I hear music, mighty fine music, and anytime I think my world is wrong, I get me out of bed to
I've got to sing this song.
I
hear the music. I hear the music.
Forget your troubles, come on, get happy.
I hear the music.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great day.
Get out of bed, you sleepyhead, rise up and sing.
Sing so the whole world will know that you hear the music, mighty, mighty fine music. The murmur of the morning breeze out there,
The rattle of the milkman on the stair.
Sure, that's music, mighty fine music. The singing of the sparrows in the sky, the perking of the coffee right by there. There's my favorite melody, you my angel,
The one that love phoning me. Now I hear the music,
mighty, mighty fine music. And anytime I think my world is wrong, I get me out of bed and sing this. I hear the music. I let a song go out of my heart.
Hello, my name is Phil Mattson. Welcome to Vocal Jazz, the Art and the Technique. In this presentation, we'll examine and demonstrate some of the essential elements of quality vocal jazz performance. We'll discuss quality literature and the rehearsal as sacred time. And we'll demonstrate the technical aspects of choral tone, harmonic and melodic balance, along with harmonic skill-building exercises and phrasing. Lastly, we'll discuss the dynamics of group performance. The primary concern of jazz has always been the music. The artistry of vocal jazz begins with a selection of quality literature. Quality literature can be defined as music which is written with both the capacity and the intent to be timeless. This type of literature is written to serve a purpose beyond consumption or entertainment. Jazz is a rich, joyous music that requires integrity, vitality, and a deep appreciation for music as an expression of the human spirit. Jazz is something to be treasured. It is one of the high-value musics. It is very important to feed our students literature that is good for both the body and the soul. There are many musicians, past and present, who have contributed to the art of jazz. We are grateful to the many jazz artists who have left us such a rich legacy. The art of jazz is alive and remains a vital part of today's music because of their creative contributions. The rehearsal is the key to creating quality vocal jazz musicianship. Is alive and remains a vital part of today's music because of their creative contributions. The rehearsal is the key to creating quality vocal jazz musicianship. And the goal of the rehearsal is to learn to serve the music. Creating an appropriate rehearsal atmosphere depends on a proper approach toward the music, for without the attitude of respect and the spirit of servanthood, one won't get very far artistically. So, here we have this beautiful music to learn from, to serve, and to add our creative input to, and to do well. It is at this beginning stage of artistic development when the student learns to give him or herself to the understanding of music, technically, intellectually, and spiritually. As the level of commitment leads to personal involvement and a deeper appreciation for the gift of music, one can then get out of one's ego for a time and be free to internalize a sort of beauty consciousness. This experience is unique and liberating. During this psychological transformation, the individual becomes self-motivated, self-rewarded, and self-judging. Ideally, then, the quality of their work becomes central to them as opposed to focusing on some extrinsic reward. Through this artistic process, one develops integrity, not only in terms of the sound that is produced, but, even more importantly, in terms of the personality of the musician. Now let's examine some technical aspects of vocal jazz musicianship. Like all choral music, vocal jazz has its own unique tonal ideals or parameters in which the vocalist sings. This tonal ideal is usually non-vibrato, but not breathy in any way. It calls for physiological strength and good support. The sounds of vocal jazz can be characterized as either instrumental or vocal, or a combination of the two. An instrumental concept piece would be one in which the arranger is imitating or hearing woodwinds or brass, bass, or even drums now in the advent of vocal percussion. In an instrumental concept piece, such as Jubilee, we find a good deal of instrumental articulation, which requires a brighter and more focused sound.
And everywhere there's music and love to share. Everyone is free, with everything we're pleased. It's great to feel at ease. We welcome and receive the Jubilee. Here is more than you will need. Take a joyful feed on some...
The vocal concept piece is more fluid or linear in approach. This type of singing is much more familiar to us as choral musicians.
Walk down that lonesome road all by yourself. Don't turn your head back over your shoulder and only stop to rest yourself when the silver moon is shining high above the trees. If I had stopped to listen once.
Overall, vocal tone is a reflection of the whole person. The emotions of joy and humor, compassion, and empathy are vital to the sounds produced in both instrumental and vocal concepts of vocal jazz. Jazz composers love harmony. They enjoy writing rich, juicy chords that require the singer to balance both the harmonic and melodic aspects of a piece. The tension between these two is heightened as one also considers the importance of knowing how one's own part relates to the whole. Musical wisdom, in fact, can be described as a deep understanding of the proper relationship of all musical elements. Melody, the horizontal element, consists of singing in time with particular goals in mind. Intermediate goals, such as the height of a phrase or perhaps one note that is a goal of a group of notes, must be attended to and balanced with the vertical or harmonic aspects of a piece. It is helpful to isolate the melody and get a deep feeling for the horizontal dynamic of a piece. For example, the Gershwin's Embraceable You.
Embrace me, my sweet embraceable you. Embrace me, you irreplaceable you.
It is also important to feel the inner heartbeat of the music. The 8th note or the 16th note, or sometimes even the quarter note, can be the internal subdivision. Another important aspect of melody is the notion of word stress. Text gives us the opportunity to choose words to emphasize or de-emphasize, which brings great artistry to vocal jazz. At the heart of artistic singing is the tension between melody, harmony, and text. Once again, we can use George Gershwin's Embraceable You to demonstrate phrase beginnings and endings and word stress.
Embrace me, my sweet embraceable you. Embrace me, you irreplaceable you. Just one look at you, just one look at you, my heart grew tipsy, tipsy in me. You and you alone, you and you alone, bring out the gypsy, gypsy in gypsy. I love the many charms.
So we're going to talk about jazz harmony here and chords. Jazz harmony is essentially in 4 parts, usually 7th chords, and usually they're done with no doubling. We have the 1-type chord, which is really a triad to which we add a 6th or a 7th, a 2-type chord or minor 7th chord, a 5-type chord, which is a dominant 7th, and then the diminished 7th chord, although that diminished 7th chord is usually functioning as a dominant with a flat 9. So I'd like to practice some of these chords in isolation, and let's start with the diminished chord since that's pretty easy chord to learn. It just consists of minor third intervals, and let's arpeggiate them. Just undo, I guess. And down a half step. Down a half. Good. Now let's do it in closed voicing. Bass is on the root, tenor's 3rd, alto's 5th, soprano's 7th. Up a half. Up a half. Down. Back down. Good. Diminished chord is such a distinctive sound that it's relatively easy to learn. The one-type chord, a triad, either major or minor, with an added sixth or seventh. Let's do the sixth, because that's a fairly distinctive jazz kind of sound. So we'll arpeggiate it. Good. On this note. Good. Let's go back to the original key and do it in closed voicing. Undo, and we'll run up the inversions. First, second, and first and second would be good enough. Back down. Down a half step. Up first inversion. Great. Not a difficult chord because there are no half steps intervals in that chord usually. The minor seventh chord, minor triad and a minor seventh. Let's arpeggiate it. And on this root. Great. Back to here, sing it in closed voicing. Up a half, back down. Great, and let's do it in first, second, and third inversions, and we'll start on this root. Root position, first, second, and third inversions.